Welcome to Lost in the Supermarket. Brad Sive is a media and marketing executive who has a passion for learning about new foods, not just the enjoyment of food, but how food, cooking, and recipes intersect and bring people together. This passion led him to start Public Market with a team of longtime friends, a place where food, people, and culture have become one. The core belief behind Public Market is that life's most meaningful moments happen when humans and food intersect. Brad, welcome to Lost in the Supermarket.
Thanks, Phil. I'm really happy to be here and share Public Market with you today.
So let's start. Where did the idea come from to create Public Market?
It started during COVID. I think everyone had a lot of free time. I was thinking about the things that I missed, hanging out with friends, sharing food, traveling. And a big part of traveling was food experiences, going to public markets, learning about the culture. So obviously for 2+ years, you couldn't do that. And then also, I live by the original farmers market here in Los Angeles, and I would walk around and it would be empty. The storefronts would be closed. Restaurants were shutting down. So, with my group of friends that, do love food and culinary experiences, we started a conversation about what would we want to create around food that's authentic. What would we feel would be important? And we landed on storytelling and the stories behind the food and really took a look at what's out there in the marketplace on the digital media landscape. And there wasn't a lot of, storytelling about the food experience and the people that make the food.
So, what's the most, I don't want to say important, but what's the most interesting story that you've got about some of the foods and some of the recipes?
Well, I think there's a lot of different interesting stories. We, highlight the San Pedro Fish Market, which is an institution here in Los Angeles that has a cult-like following. But I think one of the most interesting insights and stories is I was at a friend's house, Beverly, and she was having us over for dinner for one of the breaks in COVID where you can interact with people. And she was, grew up in Seoul, South Korea. And she's saying during COVID, she made Korean comfort food for her family because it made her feel good. It reminded her growing up in Korea. It really brought joy to her and her family. And I said, that's a beautiful story. We should tell it. Beverly is a concert pianist. She is not someone who's been on camera before talking about food. She's a home cook, but a very good home cook that knows how to cook traditional Korean food. And we thought that was really interesting. So we filmed her going to the little book Korean market here in Los Angeles and creating this dish and talking about the passion and love behind it and history that, from her grandmother to her mother that was passed down over generations. And that's one of my favorite stories, and it's not it's not a big restaurant. But we can tell those stories and those are very interesting, but it's also about the home cook. And so that to me talks about the community and every recipe is a history lesson. It's an interesting history lesson.
So, when we look at Public Market in particular, what do you hope the takeaways are going to be for those people who log on?
I think the first thing that we want to build is a place where, people are interested in food can come and enjoy culture, enjoy human stories, spend time and build a relationship with us. That's what we want to take away from. And we also want it to be something different than they're currently see right now in the digital landscape. And so it's really about deep, high quality storytelling, but then also inviting them to tell their stories. So I think there's multiple different things that we're doing with Public Market. One is telling the stories of chefs out there whose stories can't be told or aren't being told because they're really interested in running a business, or just telling the food stories of our community, because I know there's a lot of people out there that have interesting stories and we'd like to tell those as well.
So, let's switch to the business side. How
Okay.
do you make money at Public Market?
I think there's multiple ways. There's the standard of programmatic advertising, affiliate marketing. We're doing some branded content for brands that will be rolling out as well. And I think in phase 2 of what we're trying to do is build a connection point where people can come and share and learn and teach, their skill set with our community. So that we'll be rolling that out in phase two. But first we want to build a community. And I think, initially, I come from a, marketing advertising background. And so do some of our co-founders. And what we found is that there's a lack of high quality, shorter form content for brands to engage in. And I went out and talked to some of my friends who are, running brands in the space, and they said that is true. We would like to place more, advertising on quality content that's aligned with our brand. And so what we felt is, from a business side of it, what we wanted to do also fits the needs of a lot of brands. And so, we are doing branded content a little bit differently, in the sense of going out and talking about the story behind the brand and the what and the why, and curating that and then sharing that with our community, which is a little different than just running an ad, or the brand's video. We're trying to really merge it with what public market is about, which is storytelling, and the what and the why behind the brand, and then curate that as well for our community.
So when I think about your timing, it's either brilliant or lucky that what we've seen over the past couple of years is
Mhm.
TikTok becoming huge as it relates to food and restaurants and brands. The stories from bakeries, for example, that have been featured on TikTok, their sales double and triple, and now with the discussion that TikTok may be not allowed in the U.S., you're in a perfect position to take over for those people.
Well, I don't know about brilliant. I'll take lucky. TikTok is, a platform that, at my previous companies, we had influencers that were very successful on TikTok and made a lot of money and grew careers. I think there's a place for TikTok, and there'll be a place for public market. If someday we would even be fraction as successful as TikTok, that would be great. But I think we're doing different things, in the sense of we want to tell a little bit more of the story behind it. TikTok's more short form, small clips. A lot of the content out there is, hey, this is a recipe for the day, or isn't this a cool, for instance, the hot thing right now is this lasagna soup. Quick, easy, make it. We're doing a little bit different, type of content. So I think we fit in a white space that hasn't really been, developed yet. And I think we want to focus in on that. I think for our business, being very focused on what our mission is and what we're trying to do is paramount. But using TikTok to help grow our audience so people understand what we're doing. But what's going to happen with TikTok in the future, I think will be really interesting for a lot of the creators in the food community, chefs and restaurants, that could negatively impact their business.
So, Brad, when we look at public market today, it's digital. Is there ever going to be a time where I'm going to be able to go into a storefront and purchase, whether it's the foods themselves or purchase online to get these recipes, so it makes it easier for me?
Yeah, there's a part of what we want to do, which would be phase 2 or 3 of our plan, that we do talk to people that are investing in public market. We believe that there are spaces, virtual spaces that we can engage. I don't want to get into metaverse or Web3. I think a lot of that is hyped up. I think a lot of that is long-term down the road. But I do think there's opportunities where we can create public markets that do not exist. And we are working fast and furious on that as part of a longer term plan. That you got to build the community first and make sure that everything starts with our content and our storytelling. But you can go to places in the country that have absolutely amazing wines, food culture, but there's no public market that brings it all together. People can't discover that, right? So we want to, in phase 2, phase 3 of our company, bring that together and provide that inside our marketplace, to the greater community here in the U.S. and globally as well. We're starting to see those ideas and tests with a partner, Vercelli Wines, who's based in Italy, and some other people that will be rolling out, in the next 3 or 4 months, some different, kind of opportunities through public market. So that is something that, to your point, I think will be a core focus of us down the road once we build a community and people understand kind of our storytelling.
Well, Brad, I'm going to say that I don't think you're just lucky. I think you're, kind of smart about this whole thing too. And really, as you point out, there is a white space that exists in the food world that brings it to a much higher level than we're seeing on social media today. So, congratulations. I think it's a great opportunity for the food world, not only you and your partners and investors, but to really be able to have that voice and see through the lens of qualified people that can really talk about food. So thanks so much for launching it. Great look at it. Thanks for joining us on Lost in the Supermarket.
Thanks, Phil. I appreciate it. And, excited to see where it goes.